Um, Good morning, everyone. Now, before we dive into our actual project, I have two requests to make. Request number one, you're going to be subjected to some graphical content, like you're going to see blood. And more horrible than that, you're going to be subjected to our sense of humor, which is even more horrible. And part of the reason is that shorter guys have smaller brains, as someone has pointed it out. That's a trade off, I guess. Um, you have to point it out. Use your keyboard. So let me give you an introduction, like what really triggered the concept of our project. So during my early days in my tenure of research at Unified Technologies, I was researching through, rather surfing through net, and I've happened to land on Medium, and I saw this beautiful post by Rishabh Agragrahi. It was a very trivial problem that he has solved, and the problem was, I mean, not the nerdy people will be able to relate to it. I'm talking about the jugadus who, like, at the time of exam, want to only refer the notes, the images of the notes that their friends have sent them. And what his model does is it differentiates between the images of notes and the images which are not notes. So later you can delete them without having to actually select each and every image randomly. And so yeah, everything is solved. It is open source. You can go to the GitHub, get it done, get it done, like get import it and run it on your laptop. It's done, right? But what about people who are not aware of machine learning and who do not have TensorFlow installed on their laptop, or who have a laptop which does not have such high configuration? So what I really got an idea then was that why not put this black magic sorcery into the hands of people who actually don't understand it? And yeah, so I got busy with my internship, and that idea was somewhere back in my head. Wasn't like I kept it before. And incidentally, our college then gave us a tight deadline to finish our mini project and submit it. And then is where I spoke to my friend Adil, who was already into Android programming. And so then when he got excited, and we sort of thought to make this into a working application. And tada, we came up with this. What an anticlimax, right? Yeah, so notes on fire. Before I speak anything, or rather we speak anything about it, I want to make one thing clear, is that our application takes in the images from a selected directory, it classifies them, and it moves the notes, only the images of the notes, to another directory, so that you can, check it and then delete all the notes without having to select each and every one of them. And over to you, Adil.
Okay. So are you able to hear me? Are you people at the back? No? Okay, now? Hello, now can you hear me? Yeah. So first of all, so here you are sitting in front of us trying to comprehend what a machine learning model does. But let me break your bubble. We won't be getting into the technicalities of how a model works. And we will just be showing you the whole flow of the thing, and maybe leave you with a smirk. So this is a black box ML. So we are using a snake which is surrounded by clouds and in a flask, and then there's this android that leads to our entity in the cloud, a god entity or an immortal entity, whereas us mortals have wrote it. And then it answers the plea. So first, there were some choices we had to make. The choices were that we could have added weights inside the Android. The weights are something we get from the train model. And yeah, so this was something we got. And then, so what the Android application does is sends images as requests to the model and gets back Boolean values from the RESTful API, which is a Python script in Flask and all. Won't be getting into the technicalities. And then, yeah, so in the end, with the help of the backend, Coon, Fasina, and Android application, we were able to create these notes on fire.
As Adil has clearly said, we don't really want to venture into the technical aspect of it, because I'm sure most of you know how CNN works and this model is not a very complex one. So we don't want to bore you out by reiterating things that you might already know. And what we want to show you is what our application does, or rather how it does is not what we were covering here. So in the first image, if you can see, it's an image of the internal storage. It's on my mobile, and I want you to look at the screenshots folder. It has 43 items in it, and the images that screenshot folder has is this. You can see there are some images which includes me and other notes, and yeah, right. So that is the setup, right? And now we'll move on to our application. So this is the first splash screen, or whatever you can say, the home screen. And then you got to press that get started button. Then you will be shifted to that screen where you're going to press classify. And when you press that classify button, you'll be asked to select the directory from your storage. Once you've selected it, our application runs. It tries to take each and every image from the directory, and then try to analyze whether it is an image of a note or not. And if it is an image of a note, then it creates a new directory in the storage and transfers those files into that file. Now we are not directly deleting it because uh, there might be a case of a false positive. We don't want that to happen. Like a very important image, like suppose with a huge amount of what do you say, hard work, you've come to IISc, you've taken a beautiful image. I think Arun has taken a very nice image. What if that gets deleted in that process? Now you don't want that to happen. So what we did was to bring in human element. Like you have to be the ultimate decision maker, so you can go through the images and then delete it if you want. And so you can see then the screenshot now has 33 elements. So almost all the 10 notes images were now moved to the notes folder, and then you can delete that. So this is what our project does. And since we were short on time, our we couldn't like get a validation accuracy of more than 80%, which is our goal ultimately. And for that we need huge amount of training set. And obviously since the exams are not nearby, I'm sure when the exam comes, our friend will be able to donate a lot of images of notes as well. And yeah, so the takeaways, I mean, what we have learned from this is that knowing all the theoretical knowledge is not enough. Ultimately you have to swing your hammer. I'm sorry, going to school wasn't easy. Yeah, so you have to swing your hammer. Only then you'll note the nuances of everything that you are working with. So this was our way of swinging our hammer, and we created this stuff. And I think that's it. Thank you, everyone. If you have any questions.